Let me ask you something. When was the last time you truly saw a woman? I don't mean looking at her body or her curves or the way she flips her hair when she laughs. I mean really saw her, her fears, her strength, her hidden beauty, her fight to stay soft in a world that keeps trying to harden her. Too many men think compliments are just words, lines, a tactic to win attention. But for a woman, the right compliment at the right moment, it's a doorway, a signal that says, I see beyond the surface. I see the real you, and I value that. Most men are playing a surface level game. They tell her she's beautiful, sexy, hot, because that's easy. That takes zero emotional intelligence. But the kind of man who makes a woman feel seen, he's dangerous in the best way. He enters her thoughts without permission. He awakens parts of her. No one's ever touched, not physically, but emotionally. And if you're a man who's ever felt ignored, ghosted, or friend-zoned, it's not because you're not good enough. It's because you're not saying what actually makes her feel. Compliments that go beyond attraction and into admiration, into appreciation, into connection. So today, I'm giving you 8 compliments that aren't cheesy, manipulative, or overused. They're real, they're deep, and if you say them with honesty, not only will she notice, she'll feel safe to fall for you. Let's begin. You see, most men underestimate the emotional power of presence. We're taught to chase looks, charm, status, but very few are ever told to pay attention to how a woman makes you feel emotionally. Now, let me tell you something. When you say to a woman, you make things feel lighter when you're around, you're not just flattering her. You're identifying a truth that even she might not recognize within herself. Because the truth is, women carry so much expectations, emotional labor, the pressure to smile even when they're breaking, to hold families together, to show up strong at work, to look good while doing it. They've mastered the art of keeping their pain invisible. So when a man looks past the surface and says, your presence makes things easier, softer, warmer, it feels like being seen. And there's nothing more attractive to a woman than being truly seen without having to scream for it. It's not about saying she fixes your problems. It's about acknowledging the unspoken healing energy she brings. That her laughter cracks your tension. That her presence makes silence feel safe, not awkward. That when she walks into a room, it doesn't just look better, it feels better. And this isn't manipulation. This isn't a trick. This is what happens when you tune into a woman's emotional frequency, not just her physical form. You speak to the part of her that is aching to feel valued for her spirit, not just her smile. You remind her that being herself, being real, gentle, vulnerable is a gift. A compliment like this doesn't need to be rehearsed. It only needs to be real. Say it when you feel it. Say it when she's not expecting it. Say it when the mood is quiet and the moment is raw. That's when it lands. That's when it becomes unforgettable. Because the man who notices how a woman feels, not just how she looks, becomes the man she can't forget. Let's be honest. Most men focus on what they can see. They'll compliment her eyes, her curves, her style, maybe even her smile. And yes, those things matter, but they're not lasting. Because a woman doesn't fall for the man who just notices her beauty. She falls for the man who respects her mind. When you tell a woman, I love how you think, you are entering sacred territory. You're telling her that her brain, her thoughts, her inner world matters. And that's rare, that's magnetic. Because deep down, even the most confident woman questions whether she's being valued for more than her body. She wonders, am I truly understood? Or am I just seen? And here's what most men miss. A woman's intellect is one of her most vulnerable places. Her opinions, her creativity, her ideas, they're personal. So when you notice them, when you say you have such a unique perspective, or the way you break things down really inspires me, you're doing something powerful. You're validating the parts of her that most people overlook. You're saying, I see your beauty, but I'm not blinded by it. I'm interested in your soul. This compliment builds emotional intimacy. It makes her want to open up more. It creates safety, and safety leads to connection. The kind of connection where she stops performing and starts sharing. That's when attraction becomes trust. And trust is what makes a woman fall. But don't just say it to say it. Mean it. Listen to her. Ask her questions. Let her challenge your views. And when she does, lean in, not to dominate, but to understand, The moment you do that, you're no longer just another guy trying to win her over. You become a man she respects, and a man she respects is a man she desires deeply. So remember this, physical compliments are everywhere, but a compliment that honors her mind, that's unforgettable. That's the compliment that lingers long after the conversation ends. That's the one she'll replay in her head while she's lying in bed wondering how you saw something no one else ever did. That's when she starts falling for you, and she won't even realize it's happening. Most people see the final picture, the smile, the calm tone, the way she manages to keep it all together when everything is falling apart behind the scenes. But very few take a moment to recognize what it costs her to be that composed, that centered, that strong. So when you say to a woman, you handle things so gracefully, you are piercing through layers of pressure and pain. You're acknowledging the battle beneath the beauty, because grace isn't passive. Grace is strength under control. It's choosing dignity over drama. It's carrying chaos with softness. And trust me, when a woman hears that you see this in her, something in her heart softens toward you. You see, women are often applauded for surviving, but rarely for how they survive. For the fact that she can take criticism and still show kindness, that she can be hurt and still be healing others, that she walks into the world with 1,000 things weighing on her, but doesn't let it break her spirit. When you compliment her grace, you're not just admiring her, you're telling her, I see your pain, I see your effort, and I admire how beautifully you rise above it all. That is a compliment that tells her she's not invisible, that her composure is not taken for granted, that someone finally sees not just what she does, but how she does it with elegance, with calm, with inner fire that doesn't scream but glows. This compliment doesn't make you look weak, it doesn't make you soft. In fact, it shows emotional maturity. It shows that you pay attention to the details that matter. It shows her that you're not the type of man who's intimidated by a strong woman, but one who reveres her. And when a woman feels respected for her grace, she begins to feel emotionally safe. And when she feels emotionally safe, she starts to connect with you in ways you never imagined, because she knows you value not just her looks, but the discipline, dignity, and depth that make her who she is. That's not just a compliment, that's emotional seduction, silent, subtle, unforgettable. This is the kind of compliment that doesn't just touch her heart, it awakens it. Because you're not praising her for what she does, you're praising her for what she inspires. And there is nothing more emotionally seductive to a woman than being the reason a man wants to. When you say, being around you makes me want to be better, you're handing her something every woman craves, but rarely admits out loud. Impact, not control, not manipulation, but deep influence. She realizes that her presence isn't just pretty, it's powerful, that without even trying, she's pushing you toward your higher self. And that, my friend, is intimacy. That's connection. Because here's the truth, a high-value woman doesn't want to fix you. She wants to walk beside you as you choose to grow. She wants to see you lead your life, but feel honored, knowing she helped sharpen your focus. Most men don't understand that it's not about impressing her with perfection. It's about impressing her with progress and giving her the gift of knowing she helped light the fire. And don't think she'll take this lightly. A woman remembers the man who says this, not because it feeds her ego, but because it touches her soul, because it proves that you're emotionally awake, that you're not afraid of change, that you welcome transformation and associate it with her. But let me say this clearly. Don't use this line unless you mean it. Women are intuitive. They can feel when words are hollow. This compliment only works when it's grounded in real energy. When you've truly noticed your own growth since she came into your life. Maybe you're more disciplined, more focused, more open. If you see that shift, say it. Don't hold back. Because when a woman realizes that her essence inspires your evolution, that's when she starts emotionally investing. That's when she starts imagining herself in your future. Not because she wants to change you, but because she sees you already changing just by being in her presence. And that more than anything makes her fall. Not for your potential, but for the way you choose to rise around her. Do you know how exhausting it is to be a woman in a world that constantly demands performance? To always be on, to always smile, agree, stay polite, shrink opinions, dilute truth just to be liked, or worse, just to feel safe? That's the silent burden women carry. And that's why when you look at a woman raw, unfiltered, unpolished, and say, I respect how real you are, it does something to her. It disarms her. It melts her. Because finally, she's not being asked to perform. She's being allowed to be. Most men are attracted to the mask. They love the curated Instagram version of her, the confident, smiling, radiant woman who never misses a beat. But the one who earns her trust is the one who embraces the side she hides. The woman behind the makeup, the one who's still healing, the one who's not perfect, not always agreeable, not always poised, but always authentic. When you give a woman the space to be herself, unapologetically, without needing to fix her, without expecting her to soften her edges, you're giving her what 90% of people can't: emotional permission. Permission to exist without editing, to speak without filtering, to show up without pretending. That's the kind of compliment that doesn't fade. It doesn't excite her for a moment. It anchors her to you for weeks. Because deep inside every woman is a question: will he still like me if I stop trying? And when you answer that question with respect, not just attraction, you stand out. You become safe. And safe is sexy. So don't be afraid to tell her, I respect your realness. Tell her when she speaks her truth. When she stands alone in a crowd. When she disagrees with you, calmly but firmly. When she cries.